Hello, and welcome to my newly transformed channel, Confessions of a Mad Hatrix. I'm Lynn Teller, here to tell the story of my chaotic life and give life perspectives that come from all that. This video might not be what most of my subscriber base was expecting, I know, hence the transformation. I'm probably going to end up purging my subscribers because I am aware that the majority that have subscribed like my dolly content. But don't fret. I won't stop talking about dolls. In fact, this transformation is because I've launched a separate channel that will specifically and directly talk about dolls. The channel is called Doll Biz Revolution. The link will be in the descriptions. I've gotten a few comments in my old videos asking me to stick to that one topic. And there has been some demand for me to start a podcast. And so I don't have the equipment for a podcast, but I can launch another channel. And so that's what I did. A few of y'all been motivating me to come back. Two of my top fans, Blazing Bratsy and Funky Fresh 606. I know y'all been rocking with me for real. Some others have too. So for all of y'all who want my opinions on the current Bratz, American Girl, Rainbow High, Monster High, and Barbie, you'll get it there. And believe me, I have a lot of ish to say, per usual. But on this channel, I plan on allowing this space to be a space to splat my more chaotic perspectives. In fact, I want this channel to reflect my backstory and my perspectives on life based on my experiences. If you decide to watch my doll content and you don't understand why I take a specific viewpoint on a specific topic, this channel can kind of provide that context and basically act as like a backdrop. And it can also be a channel for people who maybe aren't as interested in my doll content, maybe inviting a different kind of audience. Not that I know that people who are interested in dolls wouldn't be interested in this too, but it's just that people who are interested in dolls, I know specifically want to hear about dolls. But I do want a space to talk about other things. Now, the reason why I chose this channel as a stray is because I've already done too much chaos across YouTube using this channel. Even when I haven't posted videos, I've been running my mouth behind the scenes. And so I know those people probably going to end up tapping my profile to see what I'm talking about, you know. And people have been voicing a growing interest in my story. So if you want to know what I mean by all of that, I'm just going to reveal a little bit about myself. Basically, this will answer those questions that people have been having regarding why I've been on hiatus, why I haven't been posting videos. You know, this kind of will answer that. I want to say it's a bit of life and a bit of industry. So let me talk about life. This is a trigger warning, as I might mention some sensitive topics that could trigger people listening. People always hate when I tell people what my channel is going to be about. Because I remember when I first launched this channel and I did a video telling people what my channel was going to be about, and it got ratioed for sure. But I don't care. I feel like people who listen to me, particularly the fans, you guys deserve to know what's going on, what I've been up to, and why this channel has changed. So this is for you. So basically for the last 10 years, several chaotic and devastating things have happened to me. First off, I was a Jehovah's Witness my whole life. I was born and raised in a deep JW family. About 10 years ago, I slowly pulled away from this religion. Over the last 5 years, I had completely severed ties to my friends and family. And I've been having a complete crisis of faith and a total loss of support. For anyone who knows anything about this religion, it operates like a cult. Fortunately for me, I didn't experience the shame and shunning that usually happens. But that's because I slowly pulled away on my own. On this channel, I plan on talking a little bit about my experiences growing up in this religion and sharing how it is to grow up in it as a Black femme or woman. My motivation to speak on this have been channels like XJW Panda Tower, Stop the Shunning, Alyssa Grenfield, and Cults to Consciousness. I was afraid to talk about this before, but now I'm ready to share my story. And I would like to join others in the fight against oppressive religions, even if I lose even more than I've already lost. I just really feel that it's important. And I want to create that space. I want to create a haven. Second, I went no contact by choice with one of my parents due to abuse. Emotional, mental, spiritual, financial, and at times, physical abuse. Or even the threat of physical abuse at times. And I experienced this abuse my whole life, well into my adult years. And it wasn't until my 30s that I decided not to take this abuse anymore. And those who've been following my blog, Generation Next, since 2009, you probably would have known about this to a degree in the early days because I was still living with my abuser. But I never directly talked about it out of fear. But now I'm ready to not only share my story, provide a little bit more transparency, but also find healing and community with like-minded ones. And I want to set some things straight regarding misconceptions surrounding abuse victims. I want to join other voices when it comes to finding purpose and healing with this. Jeanette McCurdy and Jocelyn Grace have been the ones to motivate me in that direction as well because their stories resonate so much with mine. This abuse is a bit connected to me being raised as a JW, but not all the way. Third, I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. This has been why it has been hard to be consistent. I don't have the kind of bipolar disorder that is readily noticeable, but it does cause me to have crippling depression and anxiety to the point that I lose the motivation to do anything. I do a lot of masking in public when I have to be in public. Because of that, I've developed a fear of being in public, and that includes being online, especially when I'm at my worst, as I was the last couple of years. And YouTube is the only social media or online avenue that I even use. I'm not much on social media. I still have Instagram, but at this point, the only one I might continue uploading to is Blue Sky. That's the only place that I feel kind of safe at. It's been hard for me to finish the projects that I start. I've started a Bratz Wiki encyclopedia of sorts. And I gathered tons of information from years of gathering it. Since you guys know I've been into the Bratz since the year 2000. But like, I struggled to put it all on there. And this is aside from financially struggling and having other personal, projects I've been working on. So bipolar does run in my family, which I'm learning is it's part of the reason why I experienced abuse. I wouldn't say all of it is why, but it's part. So I sought to get medicated and therapy as soon as I was able to get the health care to cover it, because I wanted to break the generational curse. And I kind of want to talk on this channel a little bit about living with bipolar disorder. I want to break down misconceptions about bipolar disorder, because I think everybody's go-to for bipolar disorder is like Kanye West, you know, like some people is just be out there, you know. And I kind of want to produce a nuanced perspective. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. So the fourth issue I've been having is severe poverty. I mean, near homeless poverty, begging on the streets, shameful poverty. A lot of it had to do with the pandemic, but also my bipolar disorder making it hard for me to work and even find work. You know, I had gotten into a car accident too, which made it impossible to get around. And I discovered that my community is very isolating. We don't have public transportation. It is not nationwide. And it's also a very dry job market, despite a lot of gaslighters, especially if you don't have a higher education. And if you know anything about the religion that I came from, you know why I don't have higher education. So it was a really hard time. I had to sell my pride and joy. I had to sell my Felicias, some of my Bratz dolls, because they were in demand and I couldn't afford to keep her, unfortunately. Being that poor and having no support system, I learned some good hard lessons. And I think that experience shaped my outlook on life, and even, and dare I say, my politics. If you know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses, you know that's a very daring thing to say. And actually, it's just daring to say in this political climate, period, because everybody's afraid to get political nowadays. And me, I'm just starting. I'm just starting to be open about my politics. And I know that's also going to purge subscribers. I don't care. I've made blog posts about this, even if no one read it, you know. And I think at the time it was helpful to know that even when I lost everything, I could still do my blogs. I could go to the library and finish my blogs. At the time during the pandemic, there was like a ADP program that, and then that you don't, if you couldn't pay, they couldn't cut off your internet. So it was very helpful for me, and it allowed me to at least type on my blog, even if I didn't have money for like programs to make my videos and all that other fancy ish. So amidst my poverty, I ended up in the hospital and was told I needed to have an open abdominal hysterectomy. Now, I knew I needed it since I was 23, but being a former religion that had issues with blood transfusions, I put it off. Well, it finally came to a point where it was life or death, and I literally had to grasp that I was going through not only a life-altering experience with a gynae who had horrible bedside manner, by the way. He did not understand why I was so upset at all. But I couldn't afford better, so and he did a very good job. And he did me and my twin on the same day. I was double worried, but we both pulled through. But I had to get over my fear of doctors and of disappointing the God that I used to serve. And also, you know, being judged by my family, who ended up at the hospital because I had already weaned off of the religion, but I never made it known that my faith or my beliefs were changing. And so they just, I guess, saw me as just like an inactive member, and but relatively like a Jehovah's Witness culturally. And so when it came down to it, I guess they found out that otherwise at the hospital, and it created a lot of stress and tension. I also thought about my own beliefs. So, and this is aside from me discovering that I had to live a child-free existence. And this is why, while I was recovering, I had to settle with the fact that mommy propaganda was everywhere. Literally. Everybody was trying to say that being a mother is the most fulfilling. And then, you know, I'm in my 30s. I'm feeling like a little bit of a midlife crisis. Everybody's like, oh, you're 35, you're old. Really? Don't play with me. But, I mean, it just kind of made it hard. And it's not that I wanted children. I think I knew that I wouldn't be able to handle children. I have bipolar disorder. I worked in education. That's a story for another day. But I think that it's one thing to not choose to have children. It's another thing for your body to turn on you and make it impossible for you to change your mind. So, yeah. I think a little bit of some of my videos on this channel will be talking about my child-free journey, and I'll be sprinkling a little bit of wisdom and life experience from that journey. Things that I learned after having my hysterectomy. And that's a little bit more of a mature discussion than what I normally talk about. But I feel like I really want to say it, and I really want to talk about it. And all of these things that I'm telling you are reasons why I haven't been able to post, because, like, again, it's been chaotic. A few traumatic things happened. I was dealing with abuse and kind of trying to stay low key, and dealing with leaving a former religion, trying to avoid my abuser, who was prone and known to, at that time, stalking, and also was known to embarrass me in public and shame me in front of other people. So I felt it best that I hide, because I hate confrontation. I'm not a fighter. I don't like fighting. And I was a people pleaser. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. They're all people pleasers. So, yeah, that was me. And then dealing with that, and then also recovering from surgery and trying to manage my bipolar disorder. So now that I've given you a life update, let's talk about the online industry, social media, and YouTube, and how it's changing, because that's another reason why I haven't been posting. You all might be seeing a trend of YouTubers either pushing content onto other social media platforms, going to Patreon, or opening more than one channel, like I did, or just leaving altogether. So YouTube is becoming oversaturated with content creators, and the algorithm, or the way people are watching YouTube, is changing. For many YouTubers, they're not getting the same viewership they did 10 years ago, or even during the pandemic, because people aren't watching them as much. Subjects have gone from being like fun to being very, very political, you know. And then there's also like TikTok, Twitter, X, whatever, and Instagram out there which are like competition for YouTube. So a lot of people realize they either have to spread themselves on all these other platforms or leave for a platform they can control. And then a lot of them, me, I don't plan on getting paid from YouTube. I've learned early on that I'm not built to be consistent. It's very challenging for me. When I first came onto YouTube, no one got paid, so I never expected to get money. But also there is a lot of YouTubers out there who, when you don't get the viewership, you don't get the money. So that's what they're experiencing right now. Now, as for me, I wasn't, the algorithm was changing how people engage with my content. So, and when it changes when it brings certain people to your channel, you end up with people who only like a certain niche, but not everything in your channel. And you end up forced to narrow down your topics or narrow down what you want to say so that you don't lose engagement, especially because YouTube prioritizes that engagement. And thankfully I'm not getting paid, so I don't have to care as much, but I still I do want to reach, because that's the purpose of making my videos. But YouTube is making that harder and harder. And it's not just YouTube, it's the people who watch videos on the platform, and the way the algorithm is built to keep you scrolling amongst the same videos over and over again. So there's that. People's standards for the type of videos they want to see have risen higher. I know people are like, oh no, they can't be rising that high because AI slop exists. But no. I think a lot of people, there are high production videos out there with people utilizing the best technology to make better videos. And quiet as kept, they have money. Okay, let's keep it a buck. They have money. Okay, I'm poor. Okay, so I'm not gonna have a fabulous video experience all the time. And then, like I said, I'm not smart nor tech savvy. Phones trigger me, because that, unfortunately, I do have trauma from phones. That's a story for another day, but let's just say it has to do with my abuse. So I don't like phones. I'm not tech savvy. I don't have like a PC. A lot of people are using PCs. I just use an old busted laptop that I got as a hand-me-down. And yeah, I have to deal with that. But there's a lot of people out here, they're doing better produced videos that I'm not capable of doing, and both financially and mentally. So it takes me a little longer to complete videos than maybe the average person. I don't know how they do it, but it takes me a little longer to figure all this stuff out and put a video together and upload it. I can't do this type of thing every week, like a lot of other people can. So, but I know a lot of people who experience burnout, even releasing it every week. That won't be me, but I know a lot of people who have. So, aside from my obvious failure at creating video content, I'm also not comfortable with the way people have been engaging with YouTube lately. It was always bad, but it has worsened as more people have become online natives. So many YouTubers have noticed that audiences lack the ability to engage with content with a sense of nuance and media literacy. I think about some of my favorite YouTubers like D'Angelo Wallace, Khadijah and Bowie, and I think her name is NYTN. I think that's her name. They've all had to take a step back from YouTube because of like over just poor audience engagement. You know, D'Angelo Wallace, he misspoke, I guess, when it came to Palestine and Israel. And he's pro-Palestine, but I guess he said something someone didn't like, and he just got drug in his chat, in his comment section. And he felt he was so worried about being a bad person that he stopped making his long, in-depth deep dives and just preferred to start doing live streams instead for his mental health. But that just goes to show you, like, the state. And Khadijah and Bowie just completely walked out. And one of the things she mentioned was that people are mean. They're mean.
Another YouTuber that I recently started following, Brittany Janae, she talked about this. She mentioned how people on YouTube are very mean, and quiet as kept, part of what she was experiencing, she put black girls in her title. She did a video about black girls, and the video got ratioed, and she was confused because it probably wasn't a very controversial video, but in this political climate, being black is political. And it's not lost on me that black people get the least amount of engagement unless they're talking about black specific topics. But if you're talking about the general pop culture topics, it's more than likely that a white YouTuber, especially a white heterosexual, cis, or, you know, non-trans man is going to get that engagement. That's why Mr. Beast and PewDiePie, they are bigger than any other YouTuber. So if you are not of that kind, you're going to struggle even more, especially if you're talking about topics that are general and that have everybody talking about those topics. People are going to prefer to hear their perspectives on it than yours. And so this also turns a lot of people off from, you know, engaging. Now, me personally, I'm kind of a faceless YouTuber, so I guess I don't have to worry about that as much. But I do think about that, you know. But in my case, I'm not very consistent. But one of the reasons why is because I know how the games this algorithm plays. I know that being black and having my perspectives can be controversial, and I know people can be very mean, and so it gives me a little pause.
So, I mean, what can I say? Same with NYTN. They threatened her because she decided to research her own family and found out she was black. Like, what? It's weird. I know a lot of people online will say, well, that's the way things are. That's the internet. Don't engage with it if you can't handle it. Okay. Like, okay. If you want all your YouTubers to purge their accounts and you won't have no entertainment, be my guest. Be your own entertainment. Because if you tell me don't engage with it if you can't handle it, that's why I step back. And a lot of other YouTubers are too. A lot of them are doing it too. So, be my guest. It just baffles me how people have the inability to put themselves in another's shoes nowadays. Like, people find joy in a public dragging without thought. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't have the right to disagree with people or engage critically with the people they watch. But anyone can tell the difference between constructive and conversational criticism and just trolling ridicule as if it's a public hanging. That's mental. You know, people also love to dox. Doxing is becoming a thing. And with my bipolar disorder, PTSD, and agoraphobia, that makes me say, I'm good with this online mess. You know, I'm not ready to put my face in my videos because I'm not at my physical best. And I still have trauma and social anxiety from being a Jehovah's Witness. I don't think I want to tack that on with online trauma. You know, and before I even made this video, I thought to myself, like, if I say something someone doesn't like, am I ready to deal with the behaviors? And now, since I've had therapy and been working through developing more courage, I've decided to come back. And I've decided that I could handle it to a degree. But I do want to lay the groundwork that it's still a problem and I won't ignore it. I'm not a big YouTuber yet, but I'm sure it'll stay at the back of my mind even if I do climb. That doxing culture is ruining online communities. And personally, I am not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. And I don't want to deal with it. And what makes the trolling worse is people utilize YouTube's flagging system to retaliate against people they don't agree with. Getting videos and whole channels taken down. While this might seem justified to do to people who actively seek to hurt others without thought, it's a double-edged sword. It significantly makes it challenging for everyone on the platform to feel motivated, to continue making videos. You know, one person flags one video or channel, and then that person's fans retaliate by flagging other videos and channels, and the cycle continues. You know, and it's challenging to fight YouTube to get these videos restored. And then the view count is gone after that. The reach is gone. Even when it is restored. Which is just all stunts creativity. And of course, the ability to speak freely and authentically on topics. There are people who flag videos and channels because someone made an honest, sincere mistake in their wording or phrases. You know, like D'Angelo Wallace's case. Or because someone tried to express a counter view in a thoughtful manner. But it was just, it's counter. It's counter their view. So they'll strike, they'll get your video struck. Or someone famous doesn't want to be criticized. So they're going to go after your channel. Or maybe you criticize their favorite K-pop star and they want to get your channel taken down. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's a problem. In my case, I've gotten past threats from my American Girl Rebecca video. Initially from people who were anti-Semitic. And I also had someone flag some video responses I made towards a YouTuber. His name was formerly Find Your Love in Japan, but he since changed his name. But his fans claimed I was spreading hate when I was the one responding to that YouTuber's racism. And then they took my videos down, but all of his videos stayed up. And that's the kind of favoritism that you see on YouTube, especially if you're a smaller creator with a lower budget. You're not going to be favored over those big time, long time creators. And your stuff gets pushed out of the algorithm faster than theirs. They're not going to get rid of his stuff. They're going to get rid of mine because I don't have that much engagement. And in their minds, I don't offer anything. So there's that. I don't offer them money. That is. So, and then let's just talk about copyright for a second. Many people have been complaining about copyright laws for a while now. But it's one of the most controversial topics, so people are too afraid to go too far into it. It's one of the few capitalist tools people refuse to challenge. So much so that I've been planning on doing a whole video about it myself. You know, we all get that people own the rights to intellectual property and we're supposed to be protected by free use or Creative Commons when we use the property in a different way or when we use it to examine, critique, or educate others. But it's like internet has changed the game. It's changed the game a lot. And so the way people engage with art or ideas, it's different now. And copyright is not protecting all those ways. And even still, you might be protected by fair use, but just because a company or a person doesn't like you, or just because a person hates that you're getting more engagement than they are, they by covering their original work, I guess, or maybe you actually expand on their original work and you make it more efficient. But because of that, they can sue you because they own it. And this makes making good YouTube videos challenging. Unless you have a bigger channel already and you have enough connections or enough money to ask for permission. Or if you have one of those very, very family friendly YouTube channels. You know, otherwise you have to try to get past YouTube censors. And I know a lot of people who got their stuff taken down because somebody didn't like that they were being criticized. So they copyright struck it because they didn't want somebody to use their footage in the video. They suppressed it by copyright striking it, which I don't respect. I don't respect anybody who does that. And then there are people out there who at one time, you see a lot of these streamers, they play games and they stream. At one time, those gaming companies used to come after them, especially Nintendo. We all know Nintendo, okay? They're the worst when it comes to litigation and copyright. But, yeah, Bandai was that way. Not Bandai. Funimation was that way at one time. I forget the people who created Pretty Cure, but yeah, they were definitely that way. Like you couldn't put anything up without getting copyright struck. And there's a lot of anime companies that are still like that. So, I had this issue with my Bratz movie ranking video. You guys probably remember that, where I was ranking the Bratz movies from the worst to the best. And I had this issue specifically with Bratz the movie. Lionsgate is so strict with the use of this failed movie that you can't even use footage from the trailer in your work. Footage of the trailer. I have no idea how channels like Watch Mojo have gotten away with using any scenes, but I couldn't even use one scene with no sound from a trailer. This takes away the message, it took away the message I wanted to bring to my video. And I'm already too poor to get the best equipment for video. So, I had a booty old phone for years. If I'm trying to cook on a video, the YouTube and these mega corporations make it hard to utilize any bit of IP. It makes it difficult to actually make videos and use evidence. Now, I can give my commentary without any video evidence, but there are many who doubt what I'm saying without receipts. And that's for a lot of people on YouTube. They'll doubt what they're saying if there's no receipts. And I've definitely experienced this personally on my blog, where I felt I needed to provide direct evidence of what I was saying. Because there was always somebody saying, where you hear that from? Provide the facts, provide the evidence, and I'll believe it. They don't believe it.
They'll call you a liar or accuse you of spreading misinformation if you don't provide the receipts. So, you know, and you know, copyright restrictions, they stunt the spread of information. And I've learned that's why so much information has been lost too. You know, even finishing my dog wikis proved challenging because of that. There's just so much red tape. And when I first started, I didn't know much about licensing and such. You know, I just Google researched everything and I just found something. I uploaded it when I first started. That was years ago. And I had to learn that, oh, this photo is owned by this person and they're trying to use it in this capacity. You got to select the right license or they can sue you. You know? And I just recently learned what all them licenses meant. And honestly, I feel like all of that red tape, because that's what all of that is. That's red tape. It's why so much information has been lost, especially for older brands, like older doll brands. A lot of information is lost. A lot of it is because of all that red tape. And I'm an information nerd. I love to gather information and preserve information. I'm a history enthusiast in me, you know, but it's really hard to do that when everything is owned by someone else. All the information is gate kept. And I believe in gatekeeping to a degree, but one thing I don't believe in gatekeeping is knowledge. I don't believe in gatekeeping information. I think information should be accessible. Knowledge should be accessible. I'm pro education. You know, so popping up here and there, you'll see people frustrated with copyright, whether on Reddit, YouTube, you know, even TikTok. It changed TikTok. You know, them TikTok dances used to be it. Now you don't hear TikTok dances anymore. And even between mega corporations like Nintendo and their lawsuits against other games like Power World, even the toy industry, like the war between Barbie and Bratz. And that, you know, lawsuit that took place for literally almost a decade, if not more. And they destroyed both of their brands, to be honest. And that same copyright, the copyright issue, it's affecting YouTube. And it makes the experience of making videos frustrating and annoying and nerve-wracking, because you just never know if some greater power is going to get your video taken down, especially if you accidentally use music or if your YouTube channel focuses on music. There's a lot of people's music channels that focus on it. Like, I love Mike the Snare, my favorite YouTuber, but I can imagine that he has to work through a lot of loopholes just to get his videos up. And obviously there's artists that are careful not to go after these people because these people actually help promote them. But there's some companies, and I know some music companies, that are dumb enough to go after small creators. And even more so, though, they'll go after them if they're being criticized. And that's dumb too. That's just dumb. So, lately, it just seems easier to launch independently. I myself launched a free Patreon, and I'm planning on launching my own website when I get the money and the time and when I learn how to navigate that. But out there is a Mad Hattricks and Doll Biz Revolution Patreon. And I think because I was able to launch my videos on these other platforms, you know, I feel more comfortable doing the videos I want. So, you know, if someone decides to retaliate or YouTube won't allow me to upload a video done the way I like, I can upload full uncut versions somewhere else. And that's why I'm back. I never cared about numbers. I never cared about that. If I plan on getting paid by YouTube and have faith in this system, I would have been back. I would have cared. But since I don't, I'm here to rock with those who are here to rock with me. So from here on forward, I'm vowing not to be afraid of abusers, not to be afraid of the online community. I'm learning how to navigate and deal with all of these people, both in my personal life and my online life. And I'm also navigating this changing landscape. Of course, I'm still going to always take my time. I'm not going to let them pressure me into doing what they want me to do. But, you know, I'm still back. And I do plan on releasing, I have a date that I do want to release my next video, both on this channel and on Dollbiz Revolution. I'm aiming for April 23rd. It's an aim. You know, it's kind of hard for me to reach those dates, but I'm going to try to motivate myself to get it out by April 23rd. So for all of you guys who sat and listened to this video, thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing me out. I will be back soon. So, ciao. Peace.